has decided to join, part of the SDF has decided to join, while part is rejecting. So it's bringing a lot of chaos. At this time, I'll begin with the politician who is on the platform. Your president of the Cameroon Neza movement has decided to call on elections, hold up, no regional elections, and so on. Is that not against the law? Some people say he's just trying to live by his frustration in the political arena.
It is known by many, Mr. Moderator, that following the 2018 race to Etudi, we of the Cameroon Renaissance movement have a post-electoral litigation with the incumbents, with the government in place.
Yeah.
That litigation has led members of our political party, including our president-elect, Professor Maurice Kamto, to spend some 9 months at the maximum security prison in Yaoundé. And he has also fractured family, divided homes, and worst of it all, has claimed life. Comparison is not reason, but I want to compare the same case to the case of Sudan with Omar el-Bashir, who arrived in power in 1989, and immediately he arrived, he made sure that he dissolved every political party or any intention, and after some years, he did everything to send his political competitors in prison. I will be back with his case. And so you earlier pointed the fact that the SDF equally has raised issues of electoral boycotts, notably the upcoming regional election, which is a fraction supported by the Honorable of the Vuri East constituency, Honorable Ninche, which is not very much supported by the other Honorable
Vice President O.C. Joshua.
That very political formation, O.C. Nabangi Joshua. So by then, I'm trying to say that if I go by the write-up of Honorable Ninche, he did mention the fact that they were lured by the current government to go for the February the 9th poll, because they were promised that the restive region was to see an end to peace, where the participation of the latter was supposed to be optimized. And unfortunately for him, coming out of that election, he was worried to see that not up to 2% of the population of those two regions actually took part in that election. And according to him, he says, for the past 2 decades, these two their political party, the SDF this time around, has been advocating for a change at the helm of the office, and that the CRM is just coming in that light. I want to stand here first, not to denounce the position that Honorable Ninche wants to give to the CRM, but I'm questioning myself whether a CRM alone can be the architect behind the change of regime in Cameroon. Once I've put that problematic, I want to make a big jump into the vacuum to say the answer is, for me, is a no. It is not the place of the CRM alone to drive change in Cameroon. But we believe that our contribution can inspire Cameroonians of goodwill to think that there is a need for a change of regime. According to us, our wish, and that has been stated since 2012 from the creation of our party, that we want pacific change. Our slogan, Nwambo, permit me repeat it and educate our viewers, that is peaceful change. We believe that transition in Cameroon is going to be peaceful. But Mr. Bia is making that difficult. Not that we got up in the morning of 2018 and discovered that he was making it difficult. History have said that from the 90s, he made it difficult for the chairman of the SDF, Nijon Funzi, and that he has been making it. And that's why some fighters of those years think that What we are doing today, we are just being accompanied by the media. They did it before us, and so they are observing us.
Okay.
But I want to say that we are not doing that to contradict what they did. We are doing that because resistance needs to continue. We are resisting the imperial government. We are resisting the partial ruled government. We are resisting inertia, a system where the Secretary General at the presidency has almost all power or more power than the PM. Maybe let me elucidate before you take the floor. It's very important to say that recently the SG at the president had the guts to order the Minister of Physical Education to ask another minister to demolish all the makeshift buildings that were made to accommodate the COVID-19 victim. And the Prime Minister had nothing to say about it. I just wanted to highlight that, to say that it is a house that is already fighting because they are at the end of the regime. Just to come back very fast, and that is what I'm going to.
I shall be coming to you back. I shall be coming back to you, and maybe you shall be telling us, because we hear you people. Yes, I'm coming. We hear you people on the neck of your president giving the mismanagement of COVID-19 funds in the Cameroon movement. Maybe we shall be getting information about that. Let me come to Sekufo. You have been following up activities in Cameroon. He is talking of the Cameroon Renaissance movement is just trying to push the removal of the regime in power. Can the Cameroon Renaissance movement do it? Don't you think that they would have accepted a kind of coalition? Don't you see a greediness amongst these politicians who feel that they are just there for their belly?
Mr. Mambo, I don't understand your question. When
now,
you say greediness, can you just
he is saying here that the Cameroon Renaissance movement is just trying to make a platform whereby this regime can go out of power. Don't you think that for them to do that is difficult? They have to come in a coalition.
Coalition with whom?
All the political parties, the opposition political parties, because the CPDM is quite a large and organized party. Do you see the Cameroon Renaissance movement moving?
One of the greatest problems history has encountered is that we think because we have a common enemy, we can always join to fight the common enemy before settling our dispute, which the fight we may later on have between me and you will be greater than the fight we had with the common enemy in quote. One thing I want to let you understand, Mr. Mwambo, is that MRC, of which I'm not a militant, and the militant is here on the table, I'm a militant of USDP. I want to say that political ideologies differ. Because they differ, there are different approaches that different parties will want to take, taking into cognizance of the situation that is at hand at that moment. Yeah. So we want to say MRC has a strategy to use that we want to say it is a strategy that is very doubtful by many Cameroonians. I love the statement I want to borrow from Mr. Eugene, though he's not the original author of it. Cameroonians of goodwill doubt the genuine intention behind the genius professor Maurice Kamto. Where is he actually going to lead Cameroonians? Because his personality when it comes to the political terrain has been highly questionable and very controversial of recent. Taking into cognizance that Maurice Kamto has been a person with different languages at every different conference, depending on who is asking him a question and whatever thing he has to say in order to save face or carry the day, in order to drive. I want to say, such strategy used to work in the 80s.
Yes.
No, let him just land.
Mr. Mwambo,
yes.
As a
gentleman,
I can give the panel over.
Your time is going.
Mr. Mwambo, one thing I want to say is that Mr. Eugene, don't interrupt me again.
Okay. And let me come to Bertrand this time. Yes, I'll be coming back to you.
I'll push it on Mr. Mwambo. You won't take the time. What we are saying is that Maurice Kamto, I want to pick from where I stopped. Yeah. That he's a controversial figure now when it comes to politics. Somebody, only his party members still call him the strategist. But I want to say that Cameroonian of goodwill, I wanted to borrow that from Mr. Eugene, though I want to say that our president, His Excellency Pobia, came up with that side, the Cameroonians of goodwill. So I want to say that Cameroonians of goodwill are seeing Maurice Kamto as a very controversial figure. Like what you were saying, if we are going to take it up to that, the mismanagement and embezzlement that is moving around him concerning his party and the management of the COVID-19. I don't want to get into that because that will be something else that we have to get into. But Mr. Mwambo, one thing we are saying here...
Yes, 10 seconds.
Mr. Mwambo, I don't know if people have been paid anytime Kufuor is brought to a program. You take the time.
Stay on the topic.
Yes. Say what you have to say.
Yeah, what I'm saying, Mr. Mambo, I'll hit on that, Mr. Mambo, because somebody who people are projecting with the Christ-like image, which is not to lead people, and they don't want people to. You see that psychopaths have already been built to start giving praise songs when he's not even at where they are struggling to go to. Okay. Mr. Mambo, before I come back to that, I want to tell you that we, Cameroonians, will not support a coup in Cameroon. So anyone who is planning such in his mind should go and rethink. Cameroon is not Sudan, and it will not happen. We want to say that change is something we all are praying for, and change is something we all are fighting. As a bona fide member of the United Social Democratic Party, we have been putting in energy. We have been putting in force. We want to say we should not only give praises with our lips, but it should come from our mind. When we are talking about peace, peace is demonstrated.
When the Cameroon Nation movement called for electoral hold-up, did they talk of a coup?
I have not said they talk of coup, Mr. Mambo. Don't misquote me. I said Cameroon will not support a coup. So if you are linking it to them, then you should be responsible for that.
Okay, let me come to Pope Bertrand. If you look at what is happening in the SDF now, Honorable Nincho is trying to support the Cameroon Nation movement for the demonstration, while the Vice President, O.C. Joshua, is condemning it. How do you analyze this conflict in the SDF now? Because Honorable Nincho is not maybe a very, let's say, an executive who can take such a decision for the party. But now you have the SDF vice president who has come to cancel that idea that SDF is going to join Cameroon Nation movement.
I want to first of all say that when I heard that Honorable O.C. Joshua was taking up the mantle of the SDF, I was disappointed. Disappointed in the sense that I was very shocked that it is when a house has already collapsed, when the center of a house can no longer hold, that is when it was given to Honorable O.C. Joshua.
Maybe they saw his experience to build it back.
Mr. Mambo, I heard your question.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
So now what I'm saying, the bone of contention in that house is what you call him, Honorable O.C. Joshua.
O.C. Joshua, who is the vice president of the SUS.
Yes.
And Honorable Nincho.
Okay, Nincho now, Nincho is like he has already defined his stand. Politics is a game of interest. Yeah. We have seen people cross paths, decamp and go to the oral camp. Nincho, maybe he is now in SDF to carry some people over the Red Sea. That is my observation.
But that's not cross-carpeting. He's just trying to
support he is still inside the house. He's still building momentum. You don't know why is he now?
Do you see him competent?
Mr. Mambo,
yes.
Why is it now? Why? What they are going in for elections now is that election prerogative to change the problems we are going on. It was during the presidential election that they will have come out as one team. Anyway, it is a one road list to the capital. Okay. I'm not done. You see, in politics, when you boycott election, it's a suicide mission. And up to today, SDF that has secured the legislative election that they boycotted in 1992. That is why you see SDF does not want to go back to that ideology of less boycott. And when Nincho will succeed to coalesce SDF and
with Cameroon Nation
movement, then we will know his stand. As of now, we are still looking at the void space.
Mr. Njomosiri, one time on this platform, I asked you, I say, don't you see that your party is making the same mistake the SDF did in 1992, as he's saying, or 2002, 1992, sorry.
1992.
That has brought SDF to where they are today. And I asked you how much your president received from the government. You said nothing. But don't you see that the party is regretting that move? And today they are talking for electoral hold-up.
No, Mambo, I will not this time say nothing. I will say that you have invited me to give me shame on your platform. You cannot blow me that direct to say that how much has my party collected from the Jacobin government.
I'm just saying
you undermine the struggle.
The rumor in the 90s.
You undermine even the struggle I have been doing to appear on your platform. I remember some time ago, dear viewers, and you can take me witness, I was of poor health. I did everything to come here to contribute my own portion on nation building. It is the same thing that your Messiah, Professor Maurice Kamto, is doing in Yaoundé. And he's trying to rebuild Cameroon from the broken bottles that Mr. Bia, for over 37 years, has concocted for Cameroon and Mr. Mambo.
Yeah.
There is a famous American politician that could at the tail end of his mandate, who is no other person than John Kennedy. He says, when a system struggles all the time to quench pacific claims, by all means, they can only resort to violent revolution. Yeah. What Mr. Bia and his allies, dotted in the opposition, waiting their own opportunity to eat the big cake, are doing to quench the goodwill spirit of Cameroonians to go on the street and demonstrate for their rights. I want to stipulate that freedom of expression, street demonstration, is inscribed in all the international treaty and the judicial documents that Cameroon has duly ratified. Okay. And so it is by our right, it will be exercising our right to go on the street and denounce the fact that any forthcoming election is coming before the Pacific resolution of the Anglophone crisis that has sent over 3,000 Cameroonians to their early graves.
Mr. Njomo,
I want
people went in for the elections.
You during the previous scenario without me learning, and I almost broke my mouth. Let me say this.
Yes.
Professor Kamto truly is helping our young stars to define their own trajectory. Okay. You are young following this program. You have the knife and the yam, either to betray your own generation like our fathers have done, or to define a new trajectory and protect your children. Take it for example, we had recently an issue of electricity in our neighborhoods. Yeah. I told those who came to install the light that I will not bribe them. They wanted me to give them 2.5. I said that no, I will stay in darkness and I will write a letter that I will take it wherever to make sure that you people know that you are in the wrong. If Boya keep giving you 5,000 francs when you come to interrupt their electricity, they fail to understand that you people have an agreement. And that agreement shows that you need to bring them their bills, and after 10 days, they have to come and pay. Within that 10 days, if they don't pay, you cannot come and interrupt them. But when you do that, only when the bill has overdue without you presenting it, it means that you have breached your own part of the contract. And even if nobody is listening to me, I'm very faithful that one day we will arrive at the helm of the office and justice will prevail. Okay. And I will tell them that it is the same thing that Kamto is telling them today. You can avoid half breath to prepare for full breath tomorrow. You must not always go for pieces. You are a full bona fide Anglophone. You are educated. You are sound up head. What makes you think that a regional election should take place without your participation? You have an electoral card. But because of insecurity, you cannot cast your vote. We are talking of sovereignty. Because without sovereignty, there is no state. We should be d'accord on that. And so, franchise, the right to franchise is the fundamental right of every citizen. Okay. I want to tell you, and that's where I want to learn. People have fought, bloodshed, battle, just to have this right for franchise. Just to be able to cast their vote and plebiscite for their leaders. But today, what are we receiving from the Jacobin government? We are receiving that they can maneuver over our chiefs, force them to come to the region, and they micmac and simulate election as they did for the municipal election, and they say that we are now being forced to respect the authority that has been imposed on us, that we will still have that for the regional election. And mind you, it becomes very critical because we are talking about our traditional ruler, custodian of our culture. Okay. Meaning that those people now are going to use the House of Chief that is having a lot of power with the law on the decentralization and the special status. So the Anglophone need to be very keen. I think Kamto is even making more appeal for the Anglophone than to him and our party. So this call does not even concern political militant of the CRM.
We see Professor Kamto lobbying the Anglophone.
For the Anglophone.
Yes, that's there can't be elections when the Anglophone problem has not been solved.
Yes.
Now, if you look at 2018 presidential election where the masses, the local man had to vote,
yes,
there was crisis.
Yes.
But now that he's talking against this election, he went in for the presidential election.
Yes, sir.
But now the masses will not vote for this one. What kind of insecurity is he talking about?
You of all cannot ask this question, Mr. Ngwambo. Yes.
Because at this time...
Kamto, no.
Yes.
Kamto went to the presidential election because it's been for almost 3 decades. The last time Cameroonians saw how they were rigging election was in 1990. After that, they took over all the meaningful political parties that could exist and watered them and bleached them, and they were only object or they were only shadow of themselves. But Kamto needed to prove to Cameroonians that truly there is a machinery in Cameroon which is a coalition between the Constitutional Council, the Election Cameroon, and the Ministry of Territorial Administration plus the CPTM that have blended together to be rigging election. Kamto needed to prove that to them and to tell them that is why the Anglophone crisis has been on. And it's not for nothing that it took place amid the Anglophone crisis, because it was evidence enough to prove to the Anglophone that truly your Francophone counterpart have seen what we have been talking about, so together we are in the struggle.
I'll be coming back to you. Sekufo, looking at it, in the 2018, that the crisis was at its peak. Elections went on very well. It was a presidential election. The local man went in for it. Now, coming to this one whereby the local man is excluded, is there anything to stop this election?
Nothing, Mr. Mwambo. I want to start by saying I am not preaching for the election. Neither am I pushing against the election.
Because his point is Anglophone crisis.
I'm coming, Mr. Mwambo. Mr. Mwambo.
Mr.
June, I have the floor.
Yes.
Mr. Mwambo, I am not preaching for the election, and I am not preaching against the election.
Yeah.
I am preaching for the good consciousness of Cameroonians and for the well-being of the nation. First and foremost, I want you to understand that Kamto only pretends to feel the plight.
Please, it's not your friend.
Only pretend to feel the plight. Kamto only prefer.
Professor Kamto, let us not stop the program because of this.
Yes,
how can he be calling Kamto?
Okay, let me come to.
No, you will not.
Yes,
you will not
let
me,
me
Mr. Mwambo.
Stay with you.
Mr. Mwambo.
Professor Kamto
Mr. Mwambo,
yes,
a title is an attachment.
Okay. Go on, please.
To respect me on this platform, call my president Professor.
Mr. Eugene, I'm not talking to you.
Go on, please.
But you are talking about my president.
Sorry.
Siri, I'm not talking
but you are
to you.
talking about my president.
Okay, let me come to
Mr. Mwambo. I want to say that he is an opportunist. And we have been saying this in different platforms, and I will say it here today, that the Anglophones will not be his stepping stone into wherever he's thinking he will go.